Here are all the 99p Kindle deals for July 2026 that I think it's worth spending your money on. And first up is Flesh by David Soloy. Flesh won the Booker Prize in 2025 and it follows the life story of Istvan, a Hungarian man who, I guess for the purpose of this video, let's say was lured into an inappropriate relationship with his adult neighbor when he was 15 years old. And Flesh is basically the story of the butterfly effect of that and how his life unravels and continues from then. And the second book on my list is Fundamentally. This is about a woman called Nadia who has an academic background, but she accepts a job with the UN to rehabilitate ISIS brides. And while she's in Iraq, she meets Sarah, who is an East London girl who joined ISIS at 15. Nadia notices a lot of similarities between her and Sarah. She gets quite attached to her, but is also very challenged by her. But then one day, Sarah does make a confession that might risk everything Nadia has worked for. And up next is a book I'm sure you've heard of, and it is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. But it's basically a non-fiction book that charts her female friendships that she had in her teens and 20s. And it talks about, while yes, romantic love is important, all of the skills and perspectives she's learned around it come from the women in her life. And another book I definitely think it's worth spending 99p on this month is Small Pleasures. It's set in a southeast London suburb in the 1950s, and it focuses on Jean, who is a local journalist who spends a lot of her time just feeling like she's going through the motions and feeling disappointed by life. And then one day she is contacted by someone who says that her child is the result of immaculate conception. And then it's Jean's job to investigate whether this is in fact a miracle that has happened or whether it is a fraudulent claim. The investigation then turns Jean's life upside down, and Small Pleasures is the story of what happens next. And then we have another book I really enjoyed called The Most Fun We Ever Had. And this one is a family drama which I personally love. It follows the married life of Marilyn and David. Marilyn basically feels like she's fallen into marriage and having kids, and David is absolutely obsessed with his wife. We love to see it. But it's their 4 daughters that give cause for concern. They all have their inner lives and they all have their secrets that they keep in, and it is a very interesting twisting tale. And we have one of my favorite books I read last year, Loved One. The main character Julia loses her first love turned close friend Gabe before his 30th birthday, and he was a touring indie musician, so all of his belongings are spread across the globe. And because Julia is still close with Gabe's mom, she tasks Julia with finding them. Except Gabe had a new girlfriend since then, Elizabeth, who has a different idea about what should happen with his belongings and how he should be remembered. And I thought it was a really interesting dive into what grief can look like amongst what could be more complicated relationships. And now here are some that are still on my TBR and that I am going to try and take the opportunity to read this month. First up is The Martian, and I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory because I really enjoyed Project Hail Mary. I really liked the film, I really liked the book, so now this month I'm going to give The Martian a go. And then we also have A Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I read an Emily Henry book last year while I was in Greece and it was a perfect beach read, and I'm going to Greece again this month, so maybe I will get Book Lovers, make it a bit of a tradition, and read that one too. And then we have Hello Beautiful. I actually don't know that much about this book, but I have seen people whose opinions I respect rave about it, and I really enjoy the cover, so I will be picking that one up. And then we have So Thrilled For You by Holly Bourne. I already have this in the paperback, so I will be reading it that way, but as far as I'm aware, it's about a young woman whose friends are all growing up, as they do, getting married, having kids. She doesn't want that, but she's kind of working out how to still coexist with them and maintain relationships with them. And finally we have I Hope This Finds You Well, which again I've seen a few people rave about. Again, this is another one I don't know a whole lot about, but I think it's about a woman who is in a corporate job and then she becomes privy to some secretive emails. It's a corporate tale that's supposed to be quite funny, so right up my street, I reckon. Anyway, those were all the 99p Kindle deals that I personally think it's worth spending your money on this month. I reckon I'm probably gonna go do some damage now. Okay, love you, bye!